going to get it. Okay, ask me to do the last part. So this last, I give another one. We talk about the equation of a circle. The one in your book, everything is nicely given, but sometimes you have to do it yourself. That was the one. You see, in the case of the circle, you should have two perfect squared, x minus 1 squared and y plus 3 squared. But sometimes these squares are not going to be given to you. They multiplied, simplified, if you like. So that was the situation you're going to have if this type of equation is given to you. So we have an extra job. So what we do, we put the x's together, x squared minus 2x, and the y's together. Then you want to make a perfect square here. So we just show you this identity from the algebra that this is a perfect squared. It's going to be a square of the first one, x squared, twice of the first times second, 2mx plus the m squared. So what would happen over here is only these two terms would be given to you. That a square is missing. So what we do is we just move it to the other side. So you have to identify the m here. M is, you see, this is 2m. So if you divide the coefficient of x by 2, you get your m that you are looking for. So you put it over here, then x plus m squared minus m squared. So that's exactly what I did here. You see x squared plus minus 2x. I divide the coefficient by 2, that gives me negative 1. So that would be x minus 1 squared, which is like x plus m squared. But you have to subtract always m squared, the square of this second part. Because when you square it, it's going to be x squared. You have the x squared. And there is going to be 1 squared, which is a positive 1. You don't have a positive 1 here. So that's why you subtract it, okay? And we do the same for the other one. This is 6y. We divide it by 2. That gives you 3. So we get y plus 3 squared. But when you square it, it's going to be 3 squared, which is 9. You don't have the 9 here. So you subtract it. So it's always like x plus m squared minus m squared. Then you move them around and get those numbers. I'll give you another one so that you know how we handle these. Okay, you don't have it in your book, but you do need this one. Okay, so let's give another one, number 6, for example. Okay, and number 6, suppose that the equation is this one. You see, you'll be given x squared plus y squared minus 4y. Okay, y squared minus 4y, and you have a 5 here. So this is equation of a circle, but it's not the standard. So we want to change it to the standard form solution. X squared, you have only one x squared, you keep it. The y's, you group them together, it's going to be plus y squared minus 4y, and the number 5. You keep the x squared as is, but you have to make a complete square here. Now how are you going to do it? You see, you divide the negative 4 by 2. That gives you negative 4, negative 2. So it's going to be x squared plus y minus 2 squared. You see, when we get y minus 2 squared will be 4. You don't have the 4, minus 4. Okay, you divide this coefficient by 2 to get the number. As soon as we get the number, you have to subtract its squared. Because when you square it, we get 3 terms. Y squared, negative 4y, plus 4. There is no plus 4 here. So if you put the negative 4, so plus 4 and negative 4 would cancel out each other. Okay, so this is equal to the 5. Now you move the 4 to the other side. I'll put it over here. That gives you x squared plus y minus 2 squared equal to the 5 plus 4. 5 plus 4 would be 9. So we get x squared plus y minus 2 squared equal to 9. Okay, now we can identify the center and the radius. So the center, this is just x squared. So h is 0, comma, k, your k would be 2. So that gives you 0 and 2. And the radius r squared equal to the 9. So that gives you r equal to the 3 as the radius of a circle. Okay, any question? So we need this type of type of examples, if you like, to know it for the circle. And we are going to see this completing the square again. This is a very important method that you have to know. Okay, I repeat it again when we get to the solving the equation later, maybe tonight. Okay, so that was the first problem of a circle. The first problem of a circle is the equation is given to the one in your book, very easy. You don't have these two. Okay, so the equation of a circle directly is given. You identify the center and the radius for us. But there is going to be a converse problem, and that's interesting. The converse problem is some information would be given, and then you'd be asked to find the equation of a circle. There are two cases, and we repeat those two when we get to your next quiz, okay? So this is the second group of the example. It's all you have to know. You get so many in your book as your assignment, and they are all easy, really. Okay, so what is going to be the second question that we are interested in? This is it, example. I told you 2 times. That was the first one we did the other night, and this is the second one. You see, some information would be given, and they ask for the equation of a circle. So they ask you to find the equation of a circle, the equation of a circle. Okay, find the equation of a circle with the center. You know, I start with this easy one, with the center of -1 and 4, and the radius of 5, if you like. So that's going to be, that's very straightforward one, of course. Okay, so you identify, label your information, solution. You have the center, which is -1 and 4. Remember, the center is h and k. So your h is a -1, your k is 4, and the radius is 5. So what is the equation of a circle? Equation of a circle, x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equal to the r squared. Substitute. X minus h. H is a -1. You see, h is a -1 and k is 4. So that gives me x minus -1 all squared plus y minus 4 equal to the squared equal to the 5 squared. So negative would be positive, so that gives me x plus 1 all squared plus y minus 4 all squared equal to the 25, and you're done. That's a type 1. You know, a straightforward, just substitution. Any question? Now, the problem, you see, you have to have the both of them. So the problem that we're going to be interested in, one of them would be given, but give you more information to find the other one if you like. So that's a problem that we are going to be interested in. Okay, so that was a type 1, we call it type 1, straightforward. We're not going to give you this straightforward one, but you need it for the type 2. So what's going to be type 2? I just call this one now 1. Okay, this is number 1. Any question? Number 2. Number 2, they are going to ask you to write the equation of a circle in which the center of a circle and a point on the circle would be given to you. Okay, a center and a point. So this is more popular. We want to find the equation. Okay, find the equation of a circle with center, let's say -2 and -3, passes through or passing through passing through. Okay, passing through the point. 1 point would be given to you. The point is -1 and 4. So 1 point and the center. 1 point and the center would be given to you, and then they ask you to write the equation of a circle for us. So label your information. You see the information that you have. You have the center, which is a -2 and -3. So this is going to be your H, and this is going to be your K. Then you have a point. You may call this point P. The point is a -1 and 4. You label the X and the Y for the point. So what do you want? You want the equation of a center, equation of a circle. The center is already given to you, so you have to find the radius. Now what we're going to do is we write the equation of a circle. You simply get the equation of a circle. So that's your solution. Equation of a circle is what? X minus H squared plus Y minus K squared equal to the R squared. That's it. So what we're going to do is you drop these numbers in. You have the H, you have the K, X, and the Y. You substitute all numbers here, simplify it, that gives you the radius, and you're done. Okay, so if a point and a center is given to you, just write the equation of a circle and substitute. Just make sure when you substitute, those algebraic operation, negative sign, anything, not bothering you. So this is it. X is a -1, minus H, minus -2, all squared, plus, okay, it's going to be plus Y. Y is 4, minus K, minus -3, all squared, equal to R squared. Simplify. Inside, negative would be positive, so that gives you a -1 plus 2 here. That gives you 4 plus 3 here, squared, equal to the R squared. Okay, this would be a 1. 1 squared would be 1. And this is going to be 7. So we're going to have 1 plus 49 equal to the R squared. So R squared would be 50. Okay, and if you like, R would be radical 50. You don't need the R, you need R squared. Okay, so we have a radius and a center. So we can write equation of a circle. Remember, you have to give us the equation. Some people on the test, they don't continue. You've been asked the equation of a circle. Okay, so this is the equation of a circle. X minus H. H is a -2, so make it +2. All squared plus Y minus K. K is a -3, so make it a +3. All squared equal to the R squared. R squared is 50. So that gives you the equation of the circle. Any question? And most of the problem in your book, in your assignment, are of this category. So a point and the point and the center is given to you. So there are different ways to do it. Some people find a distance between these two. That distance would be the radius. They don't use this method. It's the same thing, but if you use it, we don't mind. You have to use the distance formula to get, to get this number. But that would be, yes, I can do that. Okay, so we have a point, you see. We have a point and the center. You want to find the equation of a circle. This is the equation of a circle. So we already got the H and the K. So what is missing? The radius. So what we do is, this is the center, -2 and -3. Point, -1 and 4, you call it the X and the Y. You substitute, just make sure you do the algebra correct. Some people, they miss these negative signs here. To simplify to get the r squared. You need only r squared really for your equation. Then you go back and you write the equation for us. That was the x minus h would be x minus minus 2, which is going to be positive 2. Y minus k, y minus negative 3 would be positive 3. A square equal to the 50. That would be the equation of a circle. Any question? So that's a type 2, according to us, problem number 3 for the test and the quiz. Now there is a big one. The last problem is they are going to give you the two endpoints of a diameter of a circle. You see, let me explain that one for you. Then I give it to you. Are you done with this one? Any question? Now, what's going to be the big one? The big one is just give you a remark, if you like, then we write it down. You see, the remark is going to be remark. You see, if this is going to be a circle, okay, and 2 points would be given to you, 2 points. Let's say this is the point A, if you like, and this is the point B. You connect them together through the center. That would be the diameter. Okay, this is going to be diameter. So A and the B are end points. You see, A and B are going to be end points of a diameter. Of the circle. You see, they give you these 2 points only, and they ask you to write the equation of a circle. And that's a big problem that we have, okay? So 2 endpoints of the diameter of a circle would be given, and they ask for the equation of a circle. You know that for the equation of a circle, you need a center. But you know that the center is the midpoint of the A and the B. Okay, this is going to be the midpoint between A and the B. And we already give you the formula for the midpoint, remember? So what we're going to do is, in this case, if you want to find the H, you have to, let's give something, a name for this. So suppose this is x1 comma y1, and this is going to be something like x2 comma y2, the coordinates which is given to you. So since it's a midpoint, if you find the h, remember, is going to be x1 plus x2 over 2. That gives you the h. It's a middle point. It's the midpoint, so the h is going to be the average of the x1 and the x2. Then you have the same thing for the k. So the same thing for the k. K is going to be the average of the y values. y1 plus y2 over 2. So that is a point that you have to remember when you want to solve the third problem of the circle. So if 2 endpoints of the diameter is given to you, you are going to use the midpoint formula to get the center. Then you have a center. You need the radius. You can do the previous problem because you have the center and you can pick one of these points and then do the previous problem to get the radius. Or some people don't like it. So what else can you do? You can find, okay, you can find the length of the distance between A and the B. Then you divide it by 2. That gives you the radius. So you have 2 options. Either one would be fine. Okay, any question for this observation? So this is just a geometrical observation that the center is just a midpoint of a diameter. Now I give you the problem. So what's going to be the problem? and you have 5, I think 4 in your assignment. And that's a good option. So make sure you know it. So this is going to be the example number 3. Example number 3, we want to find the equation of a circle. You see, find the equation. Find the equation of a circle. Okay, or circle, such that, or okay, such that this is it. Let's say the point, let's say -1 and 5. This is 1 point, and the other point is going to be, the point is going to be 3. Okay, this point is going to be 3 and -3. Such that -1 and 5, 3 and -3 are going to be our end points of its diameter, if you like, one of the diameter, of course. So 2 endpoints of the diameter is given to you, and you would like to identify the equation of the circle for us. Okay, now you know what to do. You know that there is, just label this point if you like. You see this is going to be the solution. I'm going the first one A, call it A, -1 and 5. And I'm going to call the second one B, 3 and -3. Okay, -1, 5, B equal to 3 and -3. So I'm going to use the midpoint formula to get it, remember? So you may call these x1, y1, and this is going to be x2, y2. Okay, x1, y1, x2, y2. Then we are going to find the midpoint formula. So remember the h is equal to the midpoint, x1 plus x2 divided by 2. Now we substitute. x1 is a -1, x2 is 3 divided by 2. So that gives it 2 over 2, which is equal to 1. Okay, so h is equal to 1. Any question? Remember, it's a plus. I don't know why some people on the test, they write x1 minus x2. It's not. x1 plus x2. Okay, so they give you the h. Any question? Ready for the k? We go for the k. K is equal to the y1 plus y2 divided by 2 again. Okay, y1, y2 divided by 2, so we go for it. So this is going to be equal to y1 is equal to the 5, and the y2 is a -3 minus 3 over 2. So that gives us a 2, 2, which is equal to 1 again. So we have the k equal to 1. Okay, so now we are ready to give you the center. So coordinate of the center is 1, 1. And we are done with the first part. Any question? Okay, so since the endpoints of the diameter is given to you, your center is going to be the midpoint. Now we have to find the radius. Okay, so what is R? 2 options. 1, use the distance formula between A and the B, whatever you have, divided by 2. That's one option. The other option is the previous problem. You have a center. You take the center and one of these points, it doesn't matter, the first one or the second one. Drop it into the equation of a circle to get your radius. Okay, both of them are going to be the same. But I just use the method of the previous problem so that you just get one method for all of them. Okay, so the second part, to find the radius, I have the center, 1, 1. Pick one of these points, doesn't matter. I pick the A, -1 and 5. Remember, I have the h, k, x, y. Substitute in the equation as we did it before. X minus h squared plus y minus k squared. Okay, x minus h squared, y minus k squared equal to r squared. Substitute to get your r. Okay, it's like two problems in one. Okay, so we substitute x is equal to the negative 1, so it's going to be negative 1. Minus h is 1, it's going to be negative 1 minus 1, all squared. Okay, plus, you get the y is 5. 5 minus k is 1, equal to r squared. Okay, we just substitute for the center 1, 1, or the a, which is the negative 1 and 5. Now simplify it. Negative 1 minus negative 1 would be negative 2, so that gives a negative 2 squared. And 5 minus 1 would be 4, which is going to be, sorry, there is a square here, of course. Okay, so that gives you 5 minus 1, which is going to be 4. So that gives you 4 squared. 4 squared equal to the r squared. Negative 2 squared would be 4, plus 4 squared would be 16, equal to the r squared. Okay, any question? What's the question? X minus 1. That was, oh yes, you're right, I missed it. No. You see it's the x minus h squared, okay? X minus x is a negative 1 because the point is negative 1 and 5. So x is a negative 1 minus h is 1. And the other one is going to be 5 minus 1. So that gives negative 2 squared 4, 16. R squared is going to be 20, and r would be radical 20, okay? That is going to be the case. No? What is x? The question is, isn't x minus 1? No, you say this is, yes, it's x minus 1. But what is x? X is a negative 1. So we substitute, you see? We substitute for the x and we substitute for the h. The formula is x minus h squared, y minus k squared equal to the r squared. Now we substitute. We put the x equal to the negative 1 and we put the h equal to the 1. So negative 1 minus 1. Negative 1 minus 1. That gives negative 2, and the negative 2 squared would do it for you. Okay? What's that? Why? The question is, why does it become radical 20? You say negative 2 squared would be 4. 4 squared would be 16. So 4 and 16 would be 20. 20 equal to the r squared. So r would be radical 20. Any question? So it takes a little bit more time, and because it's a kind of two problems in one, to get these numbers. Okay, but you're not done. You have to give us a equation of a circle. So the center was 1, 1. The center was 1, 1, and the radius of radical 20. I give you the equation of a circle in here. Okay, so this is going to be the equation of a circle. X, so I have the center, 1, 1. And so the equation of, I'll write it here. So it's going to be x minus 1 squared plus y minus 1 squared equal to the r squared, which is 20. So that gives you the final answer. I told you the other option is finding a distance between A and the B. use the distance formula, find the distance between A and the B, and then you divide it by 2. You get the same answer. Both of them would be the same. Okay, any question? So we're done with all the question of a circle. You have quite a lot in your assignment. I just check. Again, if you have any question on the assignment that we assign, I have the book. You can ask those questions at the beginning of the lecture or wherever we have time. So we're happy to answer your questions. Let me just check for this circle part. What you have is they're all standard. You have 2 problems for the endpoints. Okay, these are 1.1. You should be able to solve all the problems on 1.1. But as we talk about it, you keep 5 of those problems for me. When we get to the quiz 1, this is section 1.1. We are going to cover more sections. But when we get to the quiz 1, you are going to send me 5 problems, the solution of 5 problems from each section. So we're done with the first section, 1.1. Pick 5 problems, but I don't mind. You can pick any of those 5 problems that you like. And try to have some symmetric property and the circle. And if you have any question on those problems, bring them in. I'll be happy to answer those questions for you. I just do one of them for you, which is this diameter that I talk about it. You have a 67 and 68. I do the 68 so that you know how to do it quickly. Okay, but for the second part, you have 2 options. We don't mind if you want to find the distance between those numbers. So this example is a number 68. I think this is 68 of this section 1.1. You want to write the equation of a circle. The endpoints are given to you. You say this is it. Endpoints. Endpoints are given. Endpoints of a diameter. Endpoints of a diameter is given. Diameter, and the points are -4, -1. This is 1 point. And the other point is 4 and 1. And they ask you to write the equation of a circle, okay? The equation of the circle when these properties are already given to you, okay? So you just do it as I talk about it. Okay, that is going to be the case. Just move this one. So you can label the points. You know that you find the midpoint, which is going to be your center. Then you can find the distance in between divided by 2 to get the radius. We don't mind. Or just use the equation of a circle. Okay, let's say this is going to be the solution. I'm going to label the points. So this is going to be -4, -1, which is x1, y1. And this is going to be 4 and 1, which is going to be x2, y2. I do the second method. You just use whichever you like. So first, center. Center is the midpoint. So h is equal to x1 plus x2 divided by 2. Substitute. You get the -4. Okay, -4 plus 4 divided by 2. So that gives you 0 over 2. You know that 0 divided by 2 would be 0. So that's the first part. Any question? You have to find the k, y coordinate, y1 plus y2 divided by 2. The y1 is a -1, and this is a +1. Okay, -1, +1 divided by 2. That gives you 0 over 2, which is equal to the 0 again. Okay, easy. So the center is 0, 0. Okay, that's your center. You need the radius. Okay, what's going to be the radius? You see, I told you, two options. One option is writing the equation of a circle. Get it? I'm going to use the second method. You can use either one that you like. So if you want to use the second method, you can find the distance, the diameter. The length of the diameter, I give you two methods. You know, this is the second one. If you want to find the diameter first, you see, this is the distance formula. The distance formula is x1 minus x2 squared plus y1 minus y2 squared. Maybe that's easier. Substitute. So x1 minus x2, you see this is x1, is going to be negative 4 minus x2 minus 4, all squared, plus y1 minus y2, y1 is a negative 1, minus y2 minus 1, all squared. Okay, I'm just finding the diameter or the distance between 2 points. Negative 4 and negative 4 would be negative 8. So that would be negative 8 squared. Okay, plus, and that gives you negative 2 squared. So that gives you 64 and 4, which is 68. 68. Okay, so you don't have to simplify it because you are going to get it right away. This is 68. That's a diameter. But you want to find the radius. Radius, you have to divide it by 2, you see. Radical 68 divided by 2. That gives you the radius. Okay, that was negative 4, 4, give it 8, 64. Then we have a negative 1 minus 1. That's correct, okay? So, so this is the second method, you know, you can use either one. The other one that I use, remember, I just substitute into equation of a circle. Some people like this one. So at the same time, you have to use midpoint formulas, okay, and the distance formula. Now you can write the equation of a circle for us. That's easy. The center is 0, 0. Okay, and the radius is what? Is radical 68 over 2. So the center would be what? It's going to be x minus 0 squared, y minus 0 squared, equal to square root of 68 over 2, all squared. So this is x squared, y squared. You square the top, it would be 68. Square the bottom one would be 4. Okay, and you simplify it. So what's going to be the result? So you can simplify it by 2. That give you 34 over 2, 17. Yes, that's one. That give you 17 as 17. So x squared plus y squared equal to the 17 is going to be the equation of a circle. Any question? So I did 2 different methods. You pick the one that you like. And this is, some people like it because it's just application that formula. Midpoint formula for the center, distance formula for the, but remember, you have to divide this number by 2 because that's the length, that's the diameter. So you need a radius, you have to divide it by 2 to get that numbers done. And then that's going to be the case. Any question? So that's the best problem of this section, if you like. So this is a 2 point. That's the 1.1. What's the question? Why didn't you square the other side again? Which side? I did square the other side. You see the one to the right? The top one is a radical, the square root. If you square the radical 68, the radical would disappear. So that gives you 68. But you have to square the 2, 2 squared would be 4. So that's what you get, okay? X minus h squared plus y minus x squared equal to the r squared. Get the r squared, you have to square the top and then square the bottom one. If you square the radical would disappear. That gives you 68. If you square the 2, 2 squared would be 4. So we simplify to get 17. The final answer. Any question? So we're done with this section 1.1. That was the graph of the equation that take us involved with the notion of a circle. So you get something like 3 questions, really 2 or 3 from this section for the quiz. So one of them is going to be symmetric properties, symmetric respect to the x, respect to the y, and respect to the origin. And the other one is going to be taking care of a circle, if you like, to get these numbers. Okay. So what is the question here? Yes, you can use either methods. You can use the first one or the second one. You see, to find the radius. That's option. This is one option, okay, to get it. And the other option was, I like this one too. Okay, for this one, you know that. You're just using a point, and the center. You substitute a point and the center into the circle to get the R. So you have 2 options. You can use either one and be accepted right away. Okay, that's section 1.1. Any question? Now, 1.2 is just solving the linear equation. You should be familiar with this one, but I'm going to tell you what we need to know. There are a couple of things that you may not be familiar with. So let's see what is going to be section 1.2. 1.2, linear equation in 1 variables. This linear format, linear modeling, if you like, is important for science. This is the equation in 1 variable. We are going to have it in 2 variables later on. That would be more popular. So we are going to review that one too. Any question? So we're done with the section 1.1. So what's going to be 1.2? Quickly, we review. This is something that you are familiar from your algebra course, but we are going to test it in quiz 1 and the test 1. Okay, so what's going to be 1.2? 1.2, we are going to talk about the linear equations. Okay, linear equations in 1 variable. Okay, linear equation in 1 variable. We're going to have later in 2 variables, which is going to be more interesting. So I just remind you that what type of equation we're going to have. This is it, an equation. Okay, an equation of the form. What is the form? Ax plus b equal to the c. In your book, you have it ax plus b equal to the 0. It's the same thing. Okay, but I like this type better. An equation of the form ax plus b equal to the c, of course, where this a, b, and c are numbers. Okay, are going to be numbers. One of them cannot be 0. Which one is it? A, B, C. One of them cannot be 0. Which one is it?
C.
No. C would be 0. That's fine. Okay.
A.
A, that's it. Yes, A. A cannot be 0 because if you put A equal to 0, X would disappear. Okay, so with A not equal to the 0. Okay, if this is going to be the case, is going to be called a linear equation. Okay, a linear equation, or the linear equation in 1 variable. 1 variable or the variable x. What is the question? Yes, A cannot be 0. That's correct. Okay. So this is going to be your linear equation. Any question? Now, quickly we're checking example. So tell us which of these equations are linear. Determine if the equation, okay, the equation is linear. Yes or no? This is what we want. First one is, you see, it must be a times x. A times x plus a b, okay? But the power of the x must be 1, and you have to have a number times x. Okay, the first one, 2x plus 1 equal to 3. You see, it's nothing wrong with this one. Okay, so it's a 2 times x. So that's a linear equation. The second one is going to be this one, x over 7 minus 1 equal to the half. Again, this is linear. You know that you need a number times x. X over 7 is the same as 1/7 of x minus 1 equal to the 1/2. So this is again linear because it's a number times x. Okay, any question? Bet. If you get this one, 5 over x plus 1 equal to the negative 2. Is this one linear or not? Yes or no? No, it's not a linear one. You see, the reason is, you know that. No, you must have what? You must have a number times x. It's a number divided by x. You see, as is not linear. You may do something eventually, you get the change it to the linear equation, but it's not now. It's a 5 divided by x. It must be 5 times x. 5 times x, not 5 divided by x. Okay, so this is not going to be linear. Not linear because the x is not the denominator. X must be up to get the linear equation. Okay, any question? And how about this one? 5x squared plus x equal to the negative 1. Yes or no? Linear
Yes.
equation. Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, let's see why you are wrong. Okay, so you see the power of the x. What's the power of the x? You see the power of the x is 2. In the linear equation, the power of the x must be 1. You see, you have only x. 2 times x, 5 times x, 7 times x. That's going to be the 1. It's not because of the x squared. You see, we call this one later on, you know that, we call it quadratic equation. Quadratic because the power of the x is 2. So in the case of the linear equation, the power must be 1. Okay, so this is not going to be a linear equation. Any question? Because we are going to deal with the linear equation, so we want to make sure that we know it. See, the reason that we call it a linear is, you see, it's a 2 times x. It's not 2x squared. Okay, so if you suppose this is going to be now 2 times x, 2 is going to be something like dollars, x is the number of the hours. So if you get 5 hours, 5 times 2, that give you $10. But as the x getting bigger and bigger, then that 2x would do the same thing. So that's why we call it a linear somehow. Okay, now what we are going to do is solve this linear equation. You know how to solve it. You know it from algebra. You have to find the x if you like. So what we do usually is, if you have some extra, let me just quickly give you one of them just to get the idea how we're going to solve it. And we know it, but there are a couple of special ones that we are interested in. Okay, so example is we want to solve each equation. You know that use property that adding, subtracting, multiplying, these type of ideas. So the first one is very a standard one, and this is going to be 2x plus 1, let's say equal to the 11. And we know that you have to isolate the x, so the solution would be you subtract the 1, so that give it 2x equal to the 11 minus 1. So that give it 2x equal to the 10. Then x would be what? 10 over 2. So x would be 5. So that's a very standard one that we usually solve in algebra. Okay, any question? But you may have some extra job. So your equation may not be linear when you look at it at the beginning. So there may be some parentheses. You know that parentheses means multiplication. You may have some fractions. So what we're going to do is, as usual, we simplify it. So in general, if you want to solve a given equation in algebra, so what we do is, if there is any parentheses, any fractions, we get rid of the fractions, okay? We get rid of the fractions. If there is going to be any parentheses, we have to get rid of those parentheses too, okay? Then sometimes we may combine the like terms to eventually to get to the 2x plus 1 equal to the 11. So these are the one that we are going to be interested in. And mostly we are interested in the one that give you, okay, those fractional one. But there are some surprises that I want to explain, okay? So I keep going to give you various parts. That's step 1. We know it. So let's see what is going to be type 2. Okay, this is number 2. Okay, in number 2, you want to solve this equation. Probably you have seen it before, but you want to repeat it and you will see it in this course. 10x minus 2 times x plus 4, okay, is equal to the 8 times x minus 2 plus 6. You want to solve this equation, okay? Let's see how we are going to solve it. You know that you have these parentheses question. Okay. Okay. Now, we want to solve this equation. You know that you have to remove the parentheses first. We remove it, of course, by multiplication. So this is going to be the solution. So let's go for it. We get the 10x as is. You have to distribute. You know that you multiply, you go forward. Negative 2 times x would be negative 2x. Okay, negative positive would be negative. That give you 8. Equal to, you have to distribute this one. So that give you 8x minus 8 times 2 would be 16. 16 plus 6. So we remove the parentheses first, then we combine the like terms. 10x minus 2x would be 8x minus 8. And this is going to be 8x, negative 16, and the 4 would be negative 10. Okay, we have the variable on both sides of the equation, so we put them in one side, add, subtract. So I have 8x already, so I subtract the 8x here, is equal to, it's a negative 10. I'm going to add the 8 to the other side. Any question? Now we simplify it. We get the 0 equal to negative 2. What's the conclusion for this one? 0 equal to negative 2. Is it true or false?
False.
False.
Very
False.
good. False. Very good.
False. False.
Very good. So what's the solution of the equation?
There is no solution.
There is no solution. Very good. So there is, okay, there is no solution. So you may get a situation that You try to solve the equation, but there is no solutions. This is going to be called a contradiction. You see, because 0 is not equal to -2. You say, oh, 0 equal to -2, it's a contradiction. So if this happens, if you try to solve an equation and then you cannot solve it, there is no solution. In this case, we say this equation is, okay, so we say the equation is a contradiction. Contradiction. I'm going to put them together, give a definition. When we solve the equation, okay, if you're given to solve it, you're done. But sometimes we ask you, you see, we are going to have 3 types of it. Let me give you another one that I'll give you 3 types. So far, you see, if your equation would be given to you and you solve it and you get the result, we say this equation is conditional. When you get x equal to 2, there is a condition. What is that condition? X must be 2. But sometimes you try to solve the equation, you arrive at a contradiction. If you get a contradiction, there is no solution. There is another case, okay? And then we give a definition, and you have a group of them in your book, and then you have to determine whether these equations are going to be the case. Okay, so let me find one for you, some easy, straightforward one to be able to do it. Okay, this will do it. It's something easy, but we have more involved one in your book. It's a -4 times x minus 1. Okay, and it's going to be equal to the -4x minus 9 plus 13. You see, look at this one. If you want to solve it, you have to remove the parentheses first. So we multiply that, give a -4x. Negative with positive, so that give a +4. And over here, we combine the like terms, this is a -4x. Okay, -9 and the 13, that give a +4. Okay, no parentheses, no like terms. You see, they are the same. It's like looking into the mirror. They are identical. If you collect the variable on one side, you see, collect the 4 here, +4x, and this is 4, subtract the 4, so that gives you 0. 0 equal to the 0. You know that 0 equal to the 0 is always true. So in this case, we say, oh, this equation is an identity. When it's an identity, every real number is a solution, because there is no x to bother you. So we can pick x free. X is a free agent, but x is the real variables. Since it's a real variable, so x can be any real number. Okay, so if you get this one, we say, oh, the equation is an identity. Is an identity, and you can say that, all real numbers are solutions, or every real numbers. Okay, this is it, all real numbers are solutions. Solutions of the equation. Okay, so you have a group of problems in your book that they ask you to determine which one is it. So you have to tell us, okay? But if in the course of solving the equation, you arrive at these cases, you must know that and identify it for us. And these are going to be used later on in a system of the equation. So we need to refresh your memory regarding this. Okay, so I'll give you a remark for these 3 definitions that we have. Any question? So if you solve the equation and you get the value for x equal to 2, 3, your equation is conditional one. If you try to solve it and the equation is not true for any value of x, we say this is a contradiction. And if you solve it and the equation is true for all real values of x, we say the equation is an identity. Okay, so I officially put it over here. And this is extra thing that we need for the linear equation, really, anything else. We know it. So this is going to be 1. So the first one, if an equation is true for some value of x or one value of x, it doesn't matter, for one value of x of the variable, let's say variable x, then it is a conditional one. It is a conditional equation. Okay, in some book, the contradiction and conditional one they consider as one, but in your book they distinguish between these two. Okay, so this means if you solve it and you get a solution, so your equation is conditional. What is the condition? The number that you got for x. Okay, any question? That's case 1. Done with this one. So I'll give you the second one. Okay, this is going to be the second part. If the equation, okay, that's it. If the equation is going to be true, okay, for all real numbers, okay, it is an identity. Okay, so it's going to be an identity if it's going to be true for all, real numbers. So that's going to be identity. And the last one, if you cannot solve it, if the equation has no solution, if you like, okay, it's going to be is not true for any value or is true for non-value, is true or non-value, if you like, no value or non-value of the variable, then it is a contradiction. So the contradiction, no solution. If all the real numbers are going to be your solution, this is going to be identity. But if you get only one, so this is going to be, okay, conditional one. What is the first remark again? You see the first one, if you solve the equation and you get a solution. So you get x equal to 2. This equation is conditional one. Okay, this is the first one that I talk about it. If an equation is true for one value, some value, one value of the variable, it is a conditional one. There is a condition. What's the condition? X is equal to 2, x equal to 3. Okay, but if the equation is true all the time, for all the values, real values of x, is an identity. But if you cannot solve it, you get no value of the x that satisfies the given equation, so this is going to be a contradiction. Okay, you have some of them in your assignment. I can show you or check so that you know what we are talking about. It's the only extra expression. We know that you can solve those equations, but we are going to be interested in this specific one to get the names. And this is going to be the case. Okay, this is section 1.2. You see, this is section 1.2, and this is the first set of problems that we have over here. You see classification and equation. They ask you to determine whether the equation is an identity, a conditional one, or a contradiction. So we have to solve it to see what's going on. So let's try a couple of them. Just make sure you know what's going on. For these are the type, that we are interested in. So as an example, and we give you the example from that section. Okay, this is section 1.2, and you want to determine, and this is it, determine whether the equation, okay, whether the equation, is an identity, okay, an identity, a conditional, okay, is a conditional equation or a contradiction, Usually give you one in your next quiz. Okay, this is it. Which one is it? If you solve it and you get a solution, it's conditional. If you try it, but it's true for all the time, identity. But if you arrive at a contradiction, means you cannot solve it. In that case, is going to be a contradiction. Okay, so I checked, for example, the number 10 is 3 times. You have the similar one for the odd numbers. X plus 2, okay, minus 5 is equal to the 3x plus 1. That's the equation. Okay, again, in the course of other problems that you've been asked to solve the equation, you may arrive at the same situation. Okay, so we're ready for it. So distribute parentheses first, nicely simplify it. So that gives a 3x plus 3 times 2, 6. Okay, that gives 6 minus 5 equal to 3x plus 1. Okay, 3x plus 1. So we simplify it. This is a 3x. 6 minus 5 would be a positive 1 equal to the 3x plus 1. You see? It's like looking into the mirror. It's an identity. You can go on if you like, but you can see it. It's looking in the mirror, exactly the same. But if you want to go on, it's a 3x minus 3x, and that's a 1 minus 1. So 0 equal to the 0. It's true all the time. Even, we usually stop here. It's the same. When it's the same, it's true for every x. If you put any x, you're just copying. You just make a photo of the other sides. Okay, so the answer is going to be, it is an identity. They didn't ask for the solution. They say, what type is it? If it was the equation that they asked you to solve it, you have to tell us that all real numbers are solutions, okay? But since they asked classification, so we just answer the classification type. So that was number 10. Any question? So that's one case. Let's try number 12 to see if we get something different. Equation by itself is not difficult to solve, but that classification is important for us. Negative 7 times x minus 3, okay, plus 4x, plus 4x equal to the 3 times 7 minus x. Okay, that's it, 7 minus x. So we have to simplify it first, try to solve it. So what's going to be the result? Distribute negative 7 inside. So the solution is going to be, we get the negative 7x, negative positive, so that gives us 21, plus 4x, and we distribute 3 times 7, 21, okay, minus 3x. Combine the like terms. Okay, we combine the like terms, negative 7x and 4x would be negative 3x. Okay, plus 21. and this is going to be 21 minus 3x. It's the same thing. It's an identity. I didn't get anything new. So, if you don't have to continue, but if you want to continue, that's a negative 3x plus 3x, and that would be 21 minus 21. That gives you 0, 0. It's an identity. It is an identity. I just want to use the, the even one. It's happened to be the case. But we can try another one so that you can see it. Any question? So I think number 14 would be something different. I do the 14 here because it's an easy problem. Any question? Let's try to see if we get something different. That is number 14. Let's see what you have in 14. It's a straightforward one. It's a quarter times x. Okay, quarter times x minus 4. And this is going to be a quarter of x minus 4. Let's see. What is this one? Sometimes some people, they make a mistake when they do these type of problems, and that you just distribute the quarter in this equation. So that give you what? Solution. So that give you a quarter of x. You see, a quarter of x minus is going to be a quarter times 4. So the 4 and 4 simplify. So that given minus 1. But this is going to be a quarter of x minus 4. Any question? We multiply, we go forward. You see, a quarter times x would be a quarter of x. If you multiply these two together, positive, negative would be negative. And 4 divided by 4, if you like, that give you 1. Now put the variables on one side. Is a quarter of x minus a quarter of x is equal to the negative 4 plus 1. So this 2 would cancel out, and that would be negative 3, which is impossible. So you know that this is a contradiction. So we say it is a contradiction. Contradiction. There is no solution here. Any question? If you solve it and you get the number x equal to 2 or x equal to 3, in that case, you are going to have a conditional one. So the conditional one is the one that you solve it and you get your, you get your result out of that one. So that is the linear equation. Okay, it's 8:33. I give you 10 minutes as a break. We come back. We are interested in the rational equations in this section. Really, this is the only one that we are interested in besides this same that we talk about it. So we can cover that one too. So we get this one done. Then try to see if we can review also quadratic equation. We review this quickly. Some of them are new, but the other one are going to be used really. Not only in this course, but also when you are going to if you take calculus. You are going to get calculus 130, so you need it. Okay, so it's 8:34. I'll come back in 8:44. 10 minutes and we continue. Okay, any question? So see you in 10 minutes.
No. Abuse.
Okay, any question? So that was a linear equation. The other equation is sometimes some equations at the, okay, when it's given in general, is not going to be linear. But if you simplify it, you may get a linear equation at the end. So we're going to try those. We are very much interested in the rational equation. Okay, when we get some fractions, a couple of them are going to be used. Again, you know, you need them. You need them in future for solving those type of problems in, you know, if they calculus or in general. Okay, so again, we are in this section. We are not done. 1.2. So let's see what is going to be. Just remind you some rational equation. Okay, so let's make sure you get this one right. Okay, so example of the rational equation. Example. So we are going to solve some rational equations. Solve each rational equation. So basically, rational equation is going to be an equation that contains some fractions or some radical expressions. Radical expressions happen when the x is going to be on the denominator. So there are going to be two types. I'll just remind you how we're going to do it. The first one, just a warm up to remember what you did before, and we're going to do it again. So suppose you want to solve this equation, 2x minus 1, okay, over 2 minus x plus 5 over 3, okay, x plus 5 over 3, and this is going to be 3x plus 2, okay, 3x over, it's going to be over 4 if you like. You want to solve this equation. So what you are going to do first, you have to get rid of these denominators. You know that to get rid of the denominator, we are going to multiply both sides of the equation by the least common denominator. When it's a number, it's straightforward to find it. So this is a number one. So we find the least common denominator. You know that the way we do it is going to be 4. 4 and 2 would be 4. 4 and 3 would be 12. So the least common denominator for this one is going to be 12. Okay, any question? So the least common denominator would be 12. You know that if the bigger number is divisible by the smaller one, we pick the bigger number. So between 4 and 2, we get 4. 4 and 3, 4 is not divisible by 3. You are going to consider other multiple of 4. Means 8, 12, 16. So we get the 12. Now multiply 12 both sides of the equation. So it's going to be 12 times 2x minus 1 over 2 minus 12 times x plus 5 over 3 equal to the 12 times 3x plus 2 over 4. Okay, make sure to multiply both sides of the equation, all the terms, by the 12. Now that gives you a chance to simplify. 12 divided by 2, that gives you 6. So we're going to have a 6 times 2x minus 1. Okay, 12 divided by 3, that gives you 4. So we get minus 4 times x plus 5. Equal to 12 divided by 4, that gives you 3. So that would be 3 times 3x plus 2. No fractions. Okay, any question? You continue, remove the parentheses. Okay, multiply. 6 times 2x, that gives you 12x. Minus 6. Then the 4, negative 4 times x would be negative 4x. Remember to come back again. Is the negative positive would be negative minus 20. Sometimes some people, they miss these signs. Okay, on the other side, 3 times 3x would be 9x plus 6. 9x plus 6. Combine the like terms, 12x minus 4x, that give you 8x. Negative 6 minus 20 would be negative 26. Okay, now we get 26, and on the other side, we get the 9x plus 6. You know, move the variables, we get the 8x minus 4x, and that would be 6 plus 26. So that gives us a negative x equal to 32. So your x would be negative 32. And you're done. Okay, so that's the case when the denominators are all numbers. Are going to be all numbers. It's, you know, as soon as you clear the fractions, if you like, the result is a linear equation in this case all the time. And you solve your linear equation to get the final answer. Any question? Now, the one that we are going to be interested in is the one that these denominators are not going to be numbers. So we get some variables, okay? So let's see how we're going to solve this equation, okay? So I give you something similar to your the one that you are going to have in your assignment, okay? So let's check this one first. Okay, there is two types really that we are going to be interested in and usually ask you. This is one of them. You want to solve this equation. Is a 3x over x minus 4, okay, is equal to the 5, is equal to the 5 plus 12 over x minus 4 again. That's it. Again, you have to get rid of this denominator first. You see, you have to be careful when you look at this type of the equation. When we get a fraction, you cannot divide by 0. So we get something like, we call it the domain of this equation. Domain of the equation is where this equation would have meaning, okay, would be meaningful. So this means if you put x equal to 4, you see this denominator would be 0. But the top would be 12. 12 divided by 0 doesn't make sense. So basically, the domain of this equation means the valid inputs, the valid numbers. The valid possible numbers that you can use is all the numbers except 4. So you've got to be careful. You can make a note at the beginning for yourself on keep in mind, and then you check it. So if the x is done the denominator, you solve the equation, you get the x, make sure you check. Make sure that the denominator is not going to be equal to the 0, okay? So you make a hint at the beginning or just write at the end. So that's a main part of this argument for this type of equation. So I may make a note right at the beginning, and I note that x cannot be equal to 4. We call it the domain of the equation. Okay, we keep this one. In case we get the 4, then we know that we have no solution. Okay, any question? So that's the extra job that you have to keep in mind. Now we're going to solve it. You have to get rid of the denominator first, okay? So we think about it as 3x over x minus 4. And this is going to be 5 over 1 plus 12 over x minus 4. You find the common denominator. You know that the common denominator when we get algebraic expression is the product of all factors. The factors that you get, you see x minus 4 is one factor and 1 is one factor. So the product of these two factors will be just x minus 4. So it's the product of all factors. There is, there's not going to be in this course, but if these factors would have some powers, so we pick the one with the larger power. So basically, the least common denominator is the product of all factors with the highest exponent, but the exponent is 1. So in this case, the least common denominator in this case is x minus 4. Any question? So start multiplying. You see, look at this one. You already assume that x is not equal to the 4. If you don't assume this one, so if x happened to be equal to the 4, this number would be 0. So it's like multiplying everything by 0. We get 0, 0, 0, 0. So that's another advantage of taking the domain first. Okay, multiply both sides of the equation 1 by 1 by x minus 4. I'll put it over here so that we have it and we can finish it. Okay, multiply both sides like the one that you did with the number. So this is x minus 4 times it by the first one. You have a 3x over x minus 4. That's the first one. Go to the other side. Make sure you multiply by 5 as well. Okay, so this is x minus 4. X minus 4. You divide by 5 or 5 over 1. And this is going to be plus, again, x minus 4 times 12 over x minus 4. Okay, sorry, that must be in red. It's a 5-1. You know, it's a 5-1. Now we can simplify it quickly like the one that we did with the numbers. So these two would cancel out. We get the 3x over here. Okay, and over here is the 5 times x minus 4. So it's going to be equal to 5 times x minus 4. We multiply later. Okay, and over here x minus 4 and x minus 4 cancel out. We get the 12. Any question? I've given this one on the test. Some people, they miss to multiply by 5. They say, oh, it is 5. There is no fraction. No, it's a balance operation. It's a balance operation. Whatever you do to the one side, you have to do it to the other side too. Now from now on is a kind of linear equation. So go on, that's give you 3x equal to, you multiply the 5 inside the 4, so that give you 5x minus 20 plus 12. You continue, combine the like terms, it's going to be 3x equal to the 5x, negative 20 and 12, that give us a negative 8, okay, or minus 8. And you have to subtract the 5x, so it's going to be 3x minus 5x equal to the negative 8. So that gives us a negative 2x, which is a negative 8. So as you can see, x would be negative 8 over negative 2. So your x is equal to 4. That's it. Any question? But you're not done. X equal to 4. But what was the domain of your equation? You know that x cannot be equal to 4. So we try all these together, but at the end, we arrive at something which is a contradiction over here. So this means this equation would not have any solution over here. Okay, so we say, oh, but x cannot be equal to the 4. So the equation has no solution. So you got to be careful. This is the point that some people, they missed it. Even if you don't determine the domain of the equation at the beginning, at the end, you have to check your number. X equal to 4. You check it in the denominator. If this happens to be 0, you are out. If it is not going to be make this one 0, then you have a solution. So in this case, it's like the one that we did, contradiction. It's contradiction because you have the x equal to, not equal to 4, but you get x equal to 4. Okay, so in this case, there is no solution. So you got to be careful when you're dealing with the rational equation with the type. You see, when the variable x is down the denominator, you have to determine the domain of that. You cannot divide by 0, okay? When it's a number down the denominator, you don't have to check it because you know that denominator is just a number. So this is the type 1, if you like, that you have to be careful about it. Okay, any question? So What is going to be the other thing that you have to worry about it? Okay, the other one is you may get more than one factor. So let's check. We give you now this type of the equation. We give you something that you determine whether it's a contradiction, okay, identity, just make sure you remember those names. And the other one is going to be the one that you get this type of situation. You have to decide, okay? So I give you example similar to the one that you have for the other two types. So we get back to that section again, 1.2. Okay, this is again, you have quite a lot. Okay, you must be bothering about this group. You see, these are the ones that we usually give you one of them. We ask you to solve it. Okay, the first part is not bad, nice, but the first part is all numbers. So let's see what would happen. You have two cases really that I have to explain. Okay, and there are a couple of case problems that we are going to use in future, the same thing. Okay, so I'll give you an example from this one. You want to solve each equation. Okay, this is, give me better direction here. Okay, or the other one is better. I have to change my set. Okay, so let's see, check some of them. You want to solve each equation. Okay, solve this equation. Now, the one that is going to be interesting, we have to check, you have the 39, I do the 40. So whatever even number I do, make sure check the odd numbers similar to this one. Okay, you can check these for those 5 that are talking about it, because these are going to be crucial one. So let's see what's special about this one. This equation is going to be 4 over x minus 1, okay, and plus 6 over 3x plus 1, and this is going to be equal to, it's not bad, it's a 15 over 3x plus 1. So you want to solve this equation. Okay, now to solve this equation, you know that you have the x on the denominator. So quickly identify the domain, the possible numbers for the x. That would be very good for you. Okay, so the solution is going to be, so you note that the first denominator would be 0 at 1. Just make a note that x cannot be equal to 1 for the first one. The second denominator, 3x plus 1 equal to the 0, x would be negative 1/3. So x is not going to be negative 1/3 too. Okay, any question? So, you know, you have to get these numbers first. In your book, they talk about the domain, but at the end, you better do it. Just, okay, this is the number that would be 0 at 1. This is the number that would be 0 at negative 1/3. So you know that if you arrive at these two numbers, you have to reject it. Now the common denominator. This is x minus 1, and this is 3x plus 1. So we have two factors. So the product of the factors would be your least common denominator, okay? So the least common denominator would be x minus 1 times 3x plus 1. Multiply both sides of the equation, okay, by this quantity, okay? So what's going to be the result? This is it. This is x minus 1 times 3x plus 1. You are going to multiply by the first one, which is a 4 or x minus 1. Okay, that's 1. And then you get a plus, again, x minus 1 times 3x plus 1. You get the second one, which is a 6 over 3x plus 1. Okay, and you do the same thing to the other side. It's x minus 1 times 3x plus 1. Then you times it by, okay, I'll put it on the top. You times it by 15 over 3x plus 1. Okay, any question? Simplify. So this x minus 1 and x minus 1 would cancel out. The leftover would be 4 times 3x plus 1. Okay, that's it. The second one, 3x plus 1, 3x plus 1 would be out. So that gives us 6. It's going to be 6 times x minus 1. Okay, is equal to what we have over here. We have a 3x plus 1 and the 3x plus 1 cancel out. So the result would be 15. 15 times x minus 1. Any question? Now, distribute parentheses. 4 times 3, 12. That gives us a 12x plus 4. Over here, that gives you 6x minus 6. And this is going to be 15x minus 15. Combine the like terms. 12 and 6 would be 18. 18x minus 2 equal to, that's a 15x minus 15. Okay, continue. It's going to be 18x minus 15x. And this is going to be negative 15 plus 2. Okay, so that gives us the 18x, negative 2, everything's all right. So this is going to be 3x, and this is going to be minus 13. So x would be negative 13 over 3. And as you can see, the x is nothing to do with the 1 and the negative 3. So this means this is a valid solution. Okay? So just be careful for that first part, that you won't get any difficulty for this number. So any question? So that was the case. You have another good one over here that I have to explain. That would be number 42, just a little bit of the factoring involved. Otherwise, it's easy. Any question?
When we're tested, will we be graded on replacing x into the original equation?
No, you don't need it.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah, if you know, you don't need to check it because you already determined the domain. Okay, so we don't have to. You don't have to test it. You can test it for yourself, but you don't have to test it. Okay, for us in general. Okay, so there must be something about this number. No, there is a one that we have to wait to get to that case that I'm looking for this one. But I have to explain one of these that you need a little bit factoring. So I do 42, just to remind you something from factoring, okay? So what is going to be 42? To factor it a little bit. So that's the number 42. Okay. In number 42, you have to solve this equation. It's a 1 over x minus 2. Okay, 1 over x minus 2 plus 3 over x plus 3. And this is going to be equal to the 4 over x squared plus x minus 6. Okay, minus 6, this is the one that we are going to be interested in. And let's see what is special about this one. You won't get any quadratic for the time being. Okay, now the thing about this one is this is x minus 2, x plus 3. You have to factor this one. You see x squared plus x minus 6. You know that. You need two numbers. So two numbers with the product of 6 and a difference of 1. So this is going to be x plus 3 times x minus 2. Okay, so if you need a factoring, we are going to do it. Any question? Now determine the domain of the equation first. The domain of the equation is going to be, you got to be careful Over here, you cannot have x equal to 2. So x is not equal to 2. And over here, you must be careful that x cannot be equal to the negative 3. Okay, so keep this in mind and then go for it. Any question? So the common denominator is going to be this common denominator is going to be what? X minus 2 times x plus 3. Start multiplying to simplify it. Okay, so this is going to be the case. X minus 2 times x plus 3. You multiply by, okay, multiply by 1 over x minus 2. And then we just keep going. And that gives you x minus 2 times x plus 3. So again, we multiply it by 3 over x plus 3. Okay, and this is going to be equal to, you do the same thing to the other side, is x minus 2 times x plus 3. And then you multiply by, okay, you multiply by 4 over x minus 2 times x plus 3, or the other way around. Okay, that gives you the chance to simplify as we did it for the other ones. Okay, simplify these two would cancel out. We get x plus 3. And over here, x plus 3 and x plus 3 would be out. So that gives you a plus, sorry, it's a plus. Plus 3 times x minus 2 is equal to, this would be out. So we get 4 only. Distribute the 3 inside, so that gives you x plus 3 plus 3x minus 6 equal to 4. Combine the like terms, that gives you 4x minus 3 equal to 4. So that gives you 4x equal to the 4 plus 3. So that you end up with the 4x equal to the 7. So x would be 7, 4. And it's a valid solution because you see nothing to do with the 2 and the negative 2. Okay, so just be careful to identify the domain of the equation first, and then you'll be fine. We need something so that the result of the equation would be not linear, but we are going to get it when we get to the next section. Okay, so this is just a review of the linear equation that we have. So 1.3, we come back to this later. A couple of modeling. We give you 1 or 2 problems in your practice quiz because we want to quickly review. We're just going with the equation first. Okay, and that the next group of the equations on 1.4. You must know everything about this section, but there is one that we are going to be interested in. Let me just give you a couple of information from this section, 1.4, and then we check the rest next times. Okay, 1.4 is solving the quadratic equations, very important one for this course or any other course. Any question? So we are done with section 1.2. You should be able to solve the problems quickly in this section. Okay, so we are not going to do 1.3 for the time being, but 1.4 is a very important section. Okay, 1.4, just give an idea in case you want to have a look yourself. Okay, it's a quadratic equations. Many application of this one in this course and any other course that you are going to have in future. Okay, you know that. We quickly remind you what is a quadratic equation. Okay, an equation of the form, at least give you the definition tonight. Okay, an equation of the form ax squared plus bx plus c equal to 0. You see it's quadratic, you must have x squared. So in this case, a cannot be 0 again. Okay, of this equation, where a, b, and c are numbers with one condition. The condition is that the a is not equal to the 0 again. Because a, if happen to be 0, you are going to lose the x squared. Okay, an equation of this form is going to be called, it's called a quadratic, quadratic equation. Okay, quadratic equation. And you know that, for example, if you have, let's say 3x squared minus x plus 7 equal to the 0, this is a quadratic equation, is a quadratic. Okay, it's going to be quadratic equation with a is equal to 3, b is equal to the -1, and c equal to the 7. Okay, so when you want to talk about the equation, you must make sure that on the other side is 0. So if the numbers are on the other side, you have to bring it back over here. Now, to solve this equation, the most practical one, or just main one that we try factoring if you can do it. And this is the way we do in calculus. If you cannot factor it, then we give you the formula that we call it quadratic formula. But we want to emphasize that the factoring one is the one that most of the time we are going to use. Okay, so to solve this equation, just check the factoring and we leave the other side. There are 3 methods we are interested in. Factoring, but there is a method, we call it completing a square. You may not like it, but the method of completing the square is very important in this course. So that's why we are going to, you can solve the quadratic equation on the test using any formula you like, but we are going to give you the one that you have to do it with the completing the square, okay? So the factoring one is easy, okay, solving by factoring or factoring method, solving equations by factoring. You know that in this case, you have to use the fact that we call it zero product property. Okay, so what is zero product property? Zero product property will tell you that what? It will tell you that if a product of two numbers, two expression is equal to the 0, so the reason that the product is 0 is because one of them is 0, or both of them are 0. So if this is going to be the case, then either A is 0 or B is 0. So we can use this zero product property to solve the quadratic equation, the most common method. And most of the time it's possible, okay, but there are some cases that it's not. Then we invent something else. So you have to check the factoring all the time to see if you can do it, okay? And just remind you a couple of examples and we finish it for tonight, okay? So example, solve each equation. Solve each equation. You look for factoring method. You see the first one, x squared minus 4 equal to the 0. You see this can be factored easily, you know that. It's the difference of two perfect squares. So the solution is going to be, we factor again to the x minus 2 times x plus 2. equal to the 0. So we get back to the zero product property and we let each factor to be equal to the 0 to get the solution. So x minus 2 equal to the 0. That gives you x equal to 2. X plus 2 equal to the 0. Give you x equal to negative 2. So each factor would give you one solution. You have two factors, two solutions, and you're done. Any question? You know, this just, you know it. I just want to refresh your memory. And the other one is so famous, trinomial. Okay, this is it. Suppose you want to solve this equation, x squared minus x minus 12 equal to the 0. It's a trinomial. You need to find two numbers with the product of 12 and a difference of 1. You know that if this is going to be negative, this is the difference of the numbers. If this is going to be positive, this is the sum of the numbers. So in this case, two numbers with the product of 12 and a difference of 1. X is going to be 3 and 4. Use the bigger number first, use this sign. X minus 4. So that must be x plus 3 equal to the 0. Okay, if it's negative, this is a difference. And this is the sign of the bigger number all the time. So you have 3 and 4, x minus 4 times x plus 3. Two factors, two solutions. You know that x equal to the 4 and x equal to the negative 3 are going to be the solution of your equation. Okay, and that's it for tonight. We continue. This section is very important